Welcome to Wikipedia Reviewed. We're unlike every other YouTuber. We don't just read you the Wikipedia articles, we review them. Today's article, Belle des Ardentes, Ball of the Burning Man, or Ball of the Wild Men. And as always here, we judge every article on a very comprehensive and scientific system, where we score each one based upon factualityness, comprehensiveness, and most importantly, vibes. So with that out of the way, let's get into it. First off, I'm going to be calling it the Ball of the Burning Men because that sounds way sicker and I don't think I speak French. So the Ball of the Burning Men was a masquerade ball held on January 28, 1393 in Paris, France, at which King Charles VI had a dance performed with 5 members of the French nobility. 4 of the dancers were killed in a fire caused by a torch brought in by the king's brother? Okay, so this is gonna be somewhere it's like very clear he's trying to kill people, right? Right. I mean, that's what I'd do. I'd bring a torch in if it's that time. And right off, I think that I want to get into this image here. I'm loving the look of this right now. So I'm seeing what appear to be some kind of green shrubbery forest men who are on fire. I don't know if it's just too far away where I can't see that or if I'm imagining it, but I do like all the patterns and the vibes in this place. I mean, maybe not the people on fire vibes, but hey, you never know, I wasn't there. Depicted in a 15th century miniature, the Duchess holds her blue skirt over a barely visible Charles as the dancers tear at their burning costumes. One dancer is leapt into a vat of wine. In the gallery above, musicians continue to play. The ball was held at the Royal Palace of St. Paul. It was a series of events orchestrated to entertain Charles, who had suffered from insanity the previous summer. What does that mean? What is the 1392 definition of insanity, though? Because, you know, I've played Crusader Kings, and it just means that... I don't know what it means in that. I think I just start killing people regardless of if I'm insane or not. I actually have no idea what insanity meant to these people. Okay. So the circumstances of the fire undermined the confidence in the king's capacity to rule. They considered it proof of decadence and threatened to rebel. I'm sorry, did they view the people getting set on fire as decadence? It doesn't sound like it was intentional at all. No, it says the circumstances of the fire, so I guess it meant just like the whole party or something? I'm not really sure here. So let's see what else it said. The public's outrage forced Charles and his brother Orleans, whom a contemporary chronicler accused of regicide and sorcery, to offer penance for the event. So I'm not the only one who saw pretty much what it looked like right away. Yeah, I'm gonna bring a torch here. I'm gonna burn you alive. Hey, man. Charles' wife, Isabella of Bavaria, held the ball to honor the remarriage of a lady-in-waiting. Scholars believe the dance performed at the ball held elements of a traditional chivalry? You know, like chivalry. The dancers disguised as wild men, mythical beings often associated with demonology, were commonly represented in medieval Europe and documented in the Revels of Tudor England. The event was chronicled by contemporary writers such as the Monk of St. Denis and John, or whoever that is, and illustrated in a 15th century manuscript. The later incident provided inspiration for Edgar Allan Poe's Hop Frog. Alright, I don't know where I got that from it, but sure, man. Kind of feel like you could come up with a better name. I don't know. I'm not Edgar Allan Poe, I guess. I don't have that success yet. Or ever, probably. But yeah, no, I feel like I don't get this so far. Like, the remarriage of a... What is a lady-in-waiting? Does that just mean someone who's a fiancé? Or what is a lady-in-waiting? It doesn't explain. Okay, so background. In 1380, after the death of his father, Charles V of France, Charles VI was crowned king. Within 2 years, his uncle, Philip, described by a historian as one of the most powerful princes in Europe, became the sole regent to the young king after Louis of Anjou pillaged the royal treasury and departed to campaign in Italy. For their part, Charles' other two uncles, Barry and Louis of Bourbon, showed little interest in governing. What does that matter? Is that important? Why does it matter if they didn't care about governing? Is this going to be relevant? I don't know. In 1387, the 20-year-old Charles assumed sole control of the monarchy and immediately dismissed his uncles and reinstated the marmosets, his father's traditional counselors. I don't know exactly what those are, but okay. Also, I feel like I don't understand what role his uncles played here. So unlike his uncles, these counselors want peace with England, less taxation, and a strong, responsible central government. Policies that result in negotiating a 3-year truce with England, with the Duke of Berry being stripped of his post of governor and because of his excessive taxation. What were they at war at in this time? This article hasn't stated that I think it's the 100 Years' War, which I feel like it's pretty basic to write in there. Hey guys, this was during the 100 Years' War. There's a long period of crazy shit that's going on. Oh, should we set that up at all? No. People are going to automatically know what war we're talking about. You know, it's that French war. The one with England. The one, you know. Come on. All right, let's see what this image is. You know, it's a decent image of his coronation. You know, it's not bad at all. Like, I think the image it's pretty cool, I guess. Kind of. I don't know, actually. Why is it in here? I feel like this is a lot of background. And how did this man end up with insanity? I feel like the background maybe should have been sped up a little bit because I'm kind of wanting to see how he's insane, actually. What actually led to this? Okay, and instantly it talks about it, of course. So, in 1392, Charles, he suffered his first attack of insanity. It was an insatiable fury at the attempted assassination of a constable of France and the leader of the council, carried out by Pierre de Caron, but orchestrated by John IV, Duke of Brittany. Who are these people? What's going on? I just don't understand so far what I'm actually reading here. I mean, like, I get the basics of it, but like, who are all these people being brought up? Where's my citation in the line? And what do you mean he was mad about his people trying to be assassinated? Of course he's gonna be mad about it. What? Oh, yeah, no, they tried to assassinate him. It's whatever, though. I don't really care. I didn't even like that marshal anyways. I want this guy to be my real marshal. Like, what is this on about? Like, is there an appropriate level of anger that he's supposed to actually get at? Because I feel like I don't understand why that is. Like, they haven't described what that means at all. I'm sure that in a manuscript or whatever, it was written that way, but specify that. I understand it's in quotes, but give me more context. Okay, so he was convinced it was an act of violence against himself and the monarchy, and he planned a retaliatory invasion of Brittany. Yeah, of course. What else would it be viewed as? He's attacking members of your government that you support. Like, is it saying that it may be something else, actually? Because it's not telling me. Okay, so on hot August day outside Le Mans, accompanying his forces on the way to Brittany, he drew his weapon without warning and charged his own household knights, including his brother, whom he had a close relationship, crying, "Forward against the traitors, they wish to deliver me to the enemy." Okay, I guess. What's going on? Charles, my guy. Oh, whoa. The king killed 4 men before his chamberlain grabbed him by the waist and subdued him. Then he fell into a coma for 4 days. His uncles took advantage of his illness and quickly seized power, reestablishing themselves as the rulers and dissolving the council. Okay, how is this all going to come together here in the story? I'm not really sure. So the king, while he was still unconscious, was returned to Le Mans, where Guillaume de Heringse, venerated and well-educated 92-year-old physician, was summoned to treat. Imagine being 92 years old in the 1300s. I mean, obviously this guy's a doctor. I mean, he was doing something right, I guess. Maybe it's just good genes, I don't know. He was summoned to treat him after he regained consciousness and his fever subsided. He was returned to Paris, moving slowly from castle to castle with periods of rest in between. This doctor sounds solid. How did he revive him? I want to know. Okay, so in late September, he made it back thanks to Notre Dame de la Sierre near Lyon, after which he returned again to Paris. Returned. Okay, we got some more art. This one I actually really like, honestly. I like the way the trees and the castle are done in the background. I like its use of colors here. It makes me feel good for some reason. I don't know how to describe art fully, but I like this one. And the horses don't look as bad as a lot of the horses you see in those, like, period pieces from the time. Period pieces from the time? That doesn't sound right. Whoa, wait, this is him attacking his knights? Let me see that. I gotta see this closer. I didn't realize that. I thought it was them marching back. Okay, so he's on horseback and you see him with the sword. I mean, overall, that's a pretty cool piece of art to do. How do you get paid to do that? I mean, did someone commission this? I'd commission it for the king. That'd be pretty funny right there. Imagine it's like his birthday and it's like, hey man, I know that you had that recent bit of insanity and like you may have killed a couple guys, but it's all cool. It's all cool. Look, to make up for it, I got you a little gift here. Isn't it fun? You can hang it up. You can be like, what a mistake. I didn't mean to kill them. So his sudden onset of insanity was seen as divine anger and punishment as the result of sorcery. Okay. Modern historians say it may have been paranoid schizophrenia. I kind of feel like, I mean, it's a little justified of a response, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like it makes sense. So the king continued to be fragile mentally, believing he was made of glass. Why is made of glass highlighted? Whoa, what is this article? Oh, whoa, glass delusion? People feared they were made of glass in the Middle Ages? No. That's wild. I gotta save this. I gotta save this for later. Anyways, and according to a historian, howling like a wolf down the corridors of the royal palaces. So this is a king who kills his own men, believes he's made of glass, and runs around howling like a wolf. Okay, I like him. I like this man now. At first I thought he was just killing his guys because, you know, it was reasonable because they were trying to kill him. But now I feel like I get him. A little more. So contemporary chronicler, he said that the illness was far out of the way. No medicine could help him. Wow. I don't think he wrote that. I think he wrote in French. Okay, so during the worst of the illness, he was unable to recognize his own wife, demanded her removal when she entered the chamber. Once he recovered somehow, he at least said, hey, you should probably be in charge of the children, actually, and my future kid as well. Now, this future kid, is that the same wife or is this a different wife? I don't know how it worked. So she had great political power, ensuring a place on the Council of Regents in the event of a relapse. That's pretty solid. Hell yeah. Good on her. Good on the man trusting his wife like that. That's a good sign. Plus, I mean, he was attacking the British. Wait, no, he went for peace. Ooh, I don't like this man anymore. So, in a distant mirror, the calamitous 14th century, historian Barbara Tuchman writes the physician Hersingi refused all pleas and offers of riches to remain, left Paris, and ordered the courtiers to shield Charles VI from the duties of government and leadership. I mean, this is a solid physician and a solid wife here. I feel like the man couldn't have a better team at the time. Except for all of his uncles and all of his relatives and the people trying to kill people in his court and council. and the British, so he had at least some support. That's good. That's good, though. So to surround Charles with a festive atmosphere and protect him from the rigor of governing, the court tended to elaborate amusements and extravagant festivities. So his wife, who I'm now realizing is Isabel? I'm gonna say Isabel. And her sister-in-law, Valentina Visconti, Duchess of Orleans, wore jewel-laden dresses and elaborate braided hairstyles, coiled in tall shells and covered with wide double hynens that reportedly required doorways to be widened to accommodate them. Ooh, what is a hynen? Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah. I totally looked that up. Why were they doing that? Did they need to do that? I mean, I guess if you're nobility in France and you're holding a big party, you probably feel like morally compelled to dress all fancy and extravagant, but I don't know. I feel like, come on, no. The common people thought the extravagances excessive, yet loved their young king, who they called Charles the Well-Beloved. Let's go, a real man of the people here. Let's go. I knew I was right to like this man. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay. So I feel like that's a pretty good take on you French common people. Let's go. So blame for the unnecessary excess and expense was directed at the foreign queen who was brought from Bavaria at the request of the king's uncles. Wait. Was she not there? Brought from Bavaria at the request of the king's uncles. Like, to originally marry, to like hold try. Her uncle-in-law, I guess, was the Duke of Milan, the ruthless Duke of Milan. They were all well liked by either the court or the people. Oh, they were neither well liked. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. This dude wrote in his chronicles that his uncles were content to allow the frivolosities because so long as the queen and the Duc d'Orléans danced, they were not dangerous or even annoying. They didn't even find them annoying when they danced. That's pretty impressive. Does that have a different context in the time period? Because that sounds really weird. Do they just mean like, hey, why are you spending all of our money and going to war with England again? Can you stop that? My husband doesn't want that. Please, lady. Just why don't you go on your balls? Go entertain your husband. Come on, put on one of those fancy dresses you like. How about that? I guess that's the best understanding that I can gain of it, but I feel like even then it's like, it doesn't tell me if that's the case. It just leaves it up to my assumption that I'm gonna know it all what it's talking about. And I don't even know if I know what I'm talking about. I'm just guessing. This is pissing me off. Okay, so the event and its aftermath has this sick art. Okay, now this is probably my favorite art of the article. I feel like I like everyone's fits. I like that they're all rocking red, green, and blue. They're all very primary color pilled. And I feel like the wild men in it are a lot better as well. There's so much more depth and interesting stuff going on. Like that dude up there, I love his haircut. Bro's rocking that bowl cut. I mean, you know, the people on fire, that's not good. This one doesn't have the guy in the wine vat though. Oh, wait, is he on the side? That's cut off from me. Oh shit, no, and that one, the guard's like letting the guy through, like, come on, man, you're on fire. You better get through. What's he doing? Why's the guy just look like he's walking? Oh, is that the wine vat down beneath? Down there? Let me see that. Okay, no, and this one, it's just people throwing it on him. I don't know, actually. I like the artistic expression of this picture better, but I feel like the actual execution of, like, what's being depicted, I like in the other one better. This has better talent, or, like, better understanding of artistic principles, but the other one tells a better story, I feel. The Master of Anthony of Burgundy, great name, Master of Anthony of Burgundy, shows a dancer in the wine vat in the foreground. Wait, there's a guy in the wine vat? Where? What are they on about? He's not in the wine vat. Am I just unable to see him? But it also shows the Duchess of Berry's skirt. Berry's? Who's the Duchess of Berry? At the middle and left. and burning dancers in the center. There's a lot more people than that. What? Okay, whatever. So are we finally getting to the actual event? On the 28th of 1393, she held a masquerade at the Hotel Saint Paul Hotel. This is the 1300s. What do you mean a hotel? What does that mean? What is a masquerade? Is that where they have masks on? That's like the Italians, though. You guys are French and a German. Whatever. Okay. So it's for the lady in waiting, whatever that means. Catherine de Fastavine. Oh, there's a note on that one. What's that mean? What's the note? Note 3. Have I missed notes? Okay, so note 3 was just that some monk claimed the woman had been widowed 3 times, so it was her 4th time getting married. And then the other one was like, oh, we don't know if it's a masquerade or a masque. You can click those links yourself, or later me will put them up. I don't know what that means. I'm trying to just read this article. Okay, so Touchman explains that a widow's remarriage was traditionally an occasion for mockery and tomfoolery, often celebrated with a chivalry characterized by all sorts of licenses, disguises, and disorders, and loud blaring of discordant music and clanging cymbals. Discordant. I don't really know what they mean by licenses. Does that just mean they're doing whatever they want? Like kind of libertine stuff? No one was wearing a disguise. Maybe the people were dressed up, I guess, but I don't know. Okay, so on the suggestion of de Gosset, whom that historian said was known for his outrageous schemes and cruelty, 6 young men, including Charles, performed a dance in costumes as wood savages. Yes, wood savages. Okay. Makes me think of Ents, but alright. The costumes, which were sewn onto the men, were made of linen soaked with resin, which flax was attached, so they appeared hairy and shaggy from head to foot. That sounds really, really flammable, and it really sounds like this guy was trying to kill him. Masks made from some of the same materials covered the dancers' faces and hid their identities from the audience. None of the art has depicted that so far. I'm saying that's points off on all the art. Come on. Some chroniclers report that the dancers were bound together by chains. Most of the audience were unaware the king was among the dancers. Okay, that's weird. Don't know why. So he was one of the ones who was lit on fire then? I thought that earlier showed him in the back. Okay, so strict orders forbid the lighting of torches here, and said you couldn't enter with a torch during the performance because, yeah, they're obviously gonna light on fire. So I guess the guy wasn't trying to set him on fire then? It was just like traditional? I don't know. According to a historian, the dancers capiered? I don't know what a capiered is, but they howled like wolves, spat obscenities, and invited the audiences to guess their identities while dancing in a diabolical frenzy. These guys sound like they're having a good time. They just sound like they're partying. Sounds like everyone else needs to chill out and have some fun. Okay, so then his brother arrived, and they were drunk and late, and so they had torches. And, you know, maybe some people have some different accounts, but maybe he had his torch above the dancer's mask because he was trying to look, and maybe a torch spark fell and they all lit on fire. I don't know. It doesn't tell me the alternatives. Okay, so in the 17th century, which is the 1600s, so like over 100 years later, guy said that he just put it close to them so they accidentally lit on fire. While a contemporary one said he threw the torch at one of the dancers. I wonder which one would be more believable, the one 100 years later or the contemporary. I don't know. Who's the contemporary written by? Give me context! The lady knew her man was on fire and fainted. Charles, however, was standing a distance from the other dancers near his 15-year-old aunt, who swiftly threw her skirt over the king to protect him from the sparks. Alright, so sources disagree as to whether the Duchess moved into the dance and drew the king aside to speak to him, or whether the king was moved away towards the audience. So some dude wrote, the king who was ahead of the dancers departed from his champions and went to the ladies to show himself to them, and so passed by the queen and came near the Duchess of Berry. What do you mean? Show? Like, reveal himself. That sounds wrong no matter how I say this. Okay, and so that's picture is supposed to be that, I guess? So the scene soon descended into chaos. The dancers, they were yelling everywhere as they burned alive. The audience also was being burned alive as they tried to rescue the men. They must not have known about stop, drop, and rolling. Okay, the monk said 4 men were burned alive, their flaming genitals dropping to the floor, releasing a stream of blood. Only 2 survived, the king and the Surya Natulet, who jumped into the vat of wine. So everyone else got their dicks burned off, and they were fucking going piss and blood everywhere. Piss and blood all over the room while people try to help them. How does their crotch light on fire? How do their dicks fall off? This sounds really weirdly written. Who is making a note about all the dicks falling off when everyone is running and there's chaos? Why is he like, hold on, guys? I don't know if you know this, but your dick's burned off, actually. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, I'm dead. Fuck you. What else does this shit say? The Count of Jogini, he died at the scene. And then Foix, son of some count and some other person, son of some other count, lingered with painful burns for 2 days. That's a weird way of saying that they died 2 days later. The investigator of the affair, the doctor from earlier, described by the historian as bitterly cursing and insulting his fellow dancers, the dead and the living, until his last hour. I mean, I feel like this doctor, he's having to deal with an insane king who's killing random people. He's having to help people whose dicks got burned off. And he's just going, why are you like this? You don't have to be this way. I hate all of you people. You all disgust me. Well, you, king, stop. I cured your insanity, remember? Whatever that meant. Or sometimes I did. So the citizens, though, they got mad that there was danger to the king who they loved, and they blamed the advisors. A great commotion swept through the city as they threatened to dispose the uncles and kill the fucking courtiers. I love these French people. I don't know why they were so enamored with Charles, but I feel like I can get behind them. It's his uncle's fault, clearly. Greatly concerned at the popular outcry and worried about a repeat of a Melodian revolt of the previous decade, when the Parisians were armed with mallets and turned against tax collectors. That's a fun image. Charles' uncles persuade the court at Notre Dame to proceed with an apologetic royal progress. The king rode through on horseback with his uncles walking in humility. What does that mean? Orleans, who was blamed for it, donated funds for a chapel to be built. Okay. That kind of sounds like he got off a little light for, 4 people dying and having their dicks burned off. It was only an accident. I tried to kill you. I'm sure that the guy couldn't recognize his own brother. Well, then again, the king was trying to show his wife, so, I mean, maybe he didn't. I don't know. The chronicler placed the blame on the brother, I feel like rightly so, and thus the feast and marriage celebrations ended with such great sorrow. Charles and Isabeau could do nothing to remedy it. Yeah, because the man was on fire. Or wait, no, was he under the skirt? I don't know. We must accept there was no fault of theirs but the Duke of Orleans. Okay. I mean, look, you're drunk and you bring a torch. Even if you're not intentionally trying to kill him, it is your fault. You did light him on fire. Potentially you threw it. So yeah, I mean, throwing it sounds a little more wrong. His reputation was damaged, obviously, compounded by some other event where he was accused of of sorcery and hiring a monk to imbue a ring, a dagger, and a sword with demonic magic. I want to know about that. Some theologian testified that he practiced sorcery and that the fire at the dance represented a failed attempt to kill his brother. Oh, kill his brother in retaliation for the attack that was probably caused by a different attack. So the guy's like, hey man, you shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna throw this torch at you. That sounds... Okay, so the guy is having to show his own wife who he is, and his brother doesn't know that it's him, assumably, because it said he was far away from them. And he said he just tossed it in when he arrives late and drunk. I don't think this was actually him trying to kill him. I think he just was drunk and had a torch and thought it would be cool. This event, it added to the idea of a court steeped in extravagance, which, yeah, and, you know, kind of brought up, hey, this king isn't really that fit to rule. His attack of illnesses increased in frequency, such that by the end of the 1390s, his role was pretty much ceremonial. That's sad. Damn, I like this guy. And then by the end of the early 15th century, he was neglected and often forgotten. What? A lack of leadership that contributed to the decline and fragmentation of the dynasty. Damn. Maybe it could have been nicer to the guy and not try to kill him. I don't know. That'd be fun. In 1407, Philip of Burgundy's son, the fearless John, had his second cousin Orleans assassinated. Okay. Is that the brother or is this a different Orleans? Either way, I'm hoping it's him because, let's see. He killed him. Yeah, sorcery. It's the same one. It's sorcery. Yeah. No, that sounds like a pretty good list of reasons. Vice, corruption, sorcery, and a long list of public and private villainies. Yeah. I mean, the guy did, no matter what, he threw that torch drunk, so it doesn't sound like he was the best for the country at the time. Okay, but at the same time, the queen was accused of having been the mistress of her husband's brother. What? Okay, I don't know if that one's accurate, but I kind of feel like the whole story doesn't back that up, because... I don't know, maybe there's some other shit going on there, but everything that I've read so far doesn't seem to go with that, so it kind of seems like that's out left field. I don't know. It pushed the country into a civil war, between the Burgundians and the Orleanists, known as the Armagnacs, which lasted for several decades. The vacuum created by the lack of central power and the general irresponsibility of the French court resulted in it gaining a reputation for lax morals and decline that endured for more than 200 years. Kind of feels like they just shouldn't have tried to burn him or tried to assassinate him originally. Ooh, look at this art of Wildman. Ooh, I like that dude. That's a sick picture. Venestra writes in Magics and Divination at the court of Burgundy in France that the event revealed the tension between Christian beliefs and the latent paganism that existed in 14th century society. How? According to him, the event laid bare the great cultural struggle with the past, but also became an ominous foreshadowing of the future. I mean, I don't know about that, man. Wild men or savages usually depicted carrying staves or clubs, living beyond the bounds of civilization without shelter or fire, lacking feelings and souls, were a metaphor for a man without God. Common superstitions held that long-haired wild men known as Luttons who danced to firelight either to conjure demons or as part of fertility rituals lived in the mountains of the areas such as the Pyrenees. In some villages, chivirars, or however it's said, at harvest or planting time, dancers dressed as wild men to represent demons were ceremonially captured, and then an effigy of them was symbolically burnt to appease evil spirits. The church, however, considered these rituals pagan and demonic. Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how I really feel about that. I mean, look, there's a manuscript here. What's it say? Wild men depicted in the borders of a 14th century Book of Hours. Let me see this picture. Look Looks pretty cool. The villagers ritualistically conjure demons by imitating them, although that the Pentennials forbid a belief in wild men or imitation of them, such as the costume dance at the event. In ritualistic folklore, the burning did not happen literally, but in an effigy, he writes. Contrary to the event, where the seasonal fertility rite had watered down to courtly. Courtly what? It's cut off. Entertainment! What? But where burning had been promoted to a deadly ritual. Cool. 15th century chronicle describes it as a dance to ward off the devil. Because remarriage was often thought to be sacrilege, common belief was that the sacrament of marriage extended beyond death. Thus, the purpose of it was twofold: to entertain the court and to humiliate and rebuke her lady-in-waiting in an inherently pagan manner. Which the monk of St. Denis seemed to dislike. I don't know how he disliked it, but okay. He's the one who wrote about the dicks burning off, so the guy didn't like the event, and then he starts writing about how their dicks burn off while they're pissing blood everywhere. This article feels like it just does not touch in the depth that I need. I feel like I need to read the actual history of this, because I don't know. Okay, a ritual burning on the wedding night of a woman who was remarrying had Christian origins as well, according to Vinstra. The Book of Tobit partially concerns a woman who had 7 husbands murdered by the demon Asmodeus, as she is eventually freed of the demon by the burning of the heart and liver of a fish. A ritual burning, okay, yeah. So which is it, guys? Is it a ritual burning, or was he drunk and tossed it in? Or was this an attempt to assassinate the guy? The event also may have served as symbolic exorcism of his mental illness at a time when magicians and sorcerers were commonly consulted. Okay? Not really sure how. I guess the dance itself, not the burning, but the burning seems to be tied to the whole thing. And it just kind of feels like you're trying to explain something when it's not there. I don't know, though. Yeah, it just said that his brother practiced sorcery, so I don't know, maybe. That feels sus. Oh, another painting of it. I like this one quite a lot. I love the perspective on everyone. That's great. I love the use of color in this one. Ooh, the gray really makes it kind of some special to it. The death of 4 members of nobility was sufficiently important to ensure that the event was recorded, most notably by Fawcett and the monk of St. Denis, and subsequently illustrated in manuscripts. They're saying that there are discrepancies in the details. Like, one guy said that the dancers were chained together, which isn't mentioned by the monk. Then they're at odds about the purpose of dance as well. Okay, so the monk says it's the wild thing with the audience taking part, where the other guy suggests this is a theatrical performance without the audience getting in, and maybe one of them wrote a weirdly specific detail like guys burning their dicks off and pissing blood. I don't know who to trust there. You know, it could be either of them, honestly. Okay, so the first guy wrote in his Book of Chronicles, covering pretty much these years, a sense of pessimism as he did not approve of all he recorded. Okay, he blamed Orleans for the tragedy, while the monk blamed the instigator, the physician, whose reputation for treating low-born servants like animals and earned them such universal hatred that the nobles rejoiced at his agonizing death. Wow. That's the physician, right? The monk, his book covered 25 years. He seemed to disprove on the grounds that the event broke social mores, and the king's conduct was unbecoming, where the other guy described it as a celebratory event. Look, this monk, his story keeps getting more and more interesting. Oh, of course, though. Scholars are like, we don't know if either of them were actually there, though. Okay, according to one, the guy wrote about the event 5 years later, and the monk wrote about it 10 years later. The monk might have been an eyewitness as much as he was for Charles's reign as a whole, and his account might be more accurate of the two. The monk, the one who talks about the dicks burning off and piss and blood. He's the accurate one here. Okay. The one who was like, yeah, this is a celebration of some demonic rituals here, guys. It's not someone showed up drunk and late and was an asshole. That can't be it. Can't be it. It has to be demons. Really? So the Monk's Chronicle is generally accepted for the understanding of the King's Court. However, his neutrality may have been not the greatest, causing him to depict the royal couple in a negative manner. Okay. Oh, a third account was written by a guy in the 1400s in his biography of Charles, not published until 1614. What is that one about? Doesn't tell me what it's about. We go on to the manuscript of the other guy. Yeah, there are some libraries titled Dance of the Wood Woes. Woad Woes. Oh, it's Woad. Dance of the Woad Woes? And they're outside of society? And they're wild men? And it's related to, oh, the passing the seasons? No! No! Fuck! I can't escape them! I don't actually know if I'm reading this correctly. Later me, correct me if that was me being a dramatic little bitch, please. Okay, titled to an unknown painter referred to as the Master of Harley Froissart. French is hard. The Fire to Mass Dance. This is really similar to Berserkers because it has mass dancing with fire and talking about more potentially where it may come from. It seems like they don't know really. Bunch of people. Yeah, no, it's just a bunch of different versions of this second guy's thing. The guy who isn't the monk. So, alright. That's kind of a boring way to end it. I kind of would started with our sources maybe. And then let's see what the notes say here. I know I read some earlier, but I didn't want to navigate up and down. Oh, there's some potential context. Early medieval folk rituals or festivals in Germany and Switzerland include a ritual called Expulsion of Death, performed on fourth Sunday in Lent, known as Sunday of the Dead. The effigy was killed by burning, where it was scattered as a fertility ritual. As early as the 8th century in Saxony in Germany, ritual was performed in which a leaf moss-clad villager representing a wild man was ceremonially hunted and killed. Ooh. So that is a thing in the Berserker shit as well. My head is broken because of how much I had to read for my video. I really feel like I need to read actual context and the actual scholarship on this, because this does not feel like it fully captures what's actually going on at all, I would say. Ooh, Wikipedia has stuff related. Let's look at that. Let's look at this black and white version. This is funny as hell. I love this one as well. Oh, there's like a little raccoon guy or something in the bottom. What's he doing there? Why wasn't that mentioned in anything? Also, I like how they have the pointy hats. That's pretty funny. Oh, is this another one of those super good ones? Whoa! Oh my god, I love that! Wow, that's intense. That's so cool. Oh, that robe on her is oh yeah, she's hiding the king there. Wow, that's so good. Except the heads look a little weird on the left. But other than that, I love this. Whoa, what is this? That is a sick one. I gotta say, this art in this article is loving that. I really love the art here. I feel like that's been my favorite part now. Well, also the depiction of the cross. So, I'm just gonna partially show the talk page behind me. I agree. I feel like they had a lot of parts where they were like, according to this scholar, when you can just put that in the citation. You don't need to say it in line every time. Whereas what I would have preferred is a lot more bringing up of like the source that was writing it and how their claim was written at the time and the potential biases and thoughts on it. I feel like all the parts here that really need expanding just didn't have them. Because there were so many things where it's like it felt that it wanted me to already know what was going on in it, when I just feel like I don't know how I could have understood what was going on in it. When, you know, I'd have to go read other articles, I'd have to go back and forth, and I'm not wanting to do that right now. You know, I checked out a few things, and that's cool, but like, guys. And then as well, I mean, I feel like it didn't really make a wider connection to the whole wild man thing. It just kind of touched on it, is like a passing thought. And it's like, if you're really weighing that as one of the potential reasons for it, I feel that you need to actually properly explore it more. And maybe it's connection to the nobility performing it as well, because that's also a Berserker thing, or them being there with the games. Anyways, I don't need to keep talking about that. I'm sorry that I keep bringing it up. It's hard for me. I gotta say, factualityness, I give it a manuscript full of dick burning off stories. It sounds fun, it sounds cool, and I may just read it as surface level, but at the same time, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? This doesn't sound right. Now, comprehensiveness, that's also gonna get a turnaround while eating at a show you're at or a party, and you see guys with their dicks getting burned off while they're pissing blood. Out of 10. You know, it's a bit shocking. You feel like you're kind of whipped around and like, ooh, where am I? Who said that? What's going on? I did not approve of this. But I think we always got to remember what's the most important thing here. And that's the vibes. The vibes were off the charts. The vibes were perfect, I feel. I may have got angry, but that was at other things. That was a stupid citation, or lack of it, talking about sources. The vibes, though, of the event itself and the actual things that went on, that sounds insane. I love how it kept saying, like, the brother, he was like, yeah, he did sorcery. We're not really gonna get into, like, what that was about or what the claims were about. And then it had the 90-year-old physician, and I loved him, because he just hated everyone. And then you had the crazy king, and I loved him as well, because he doesn't seem like he's, you know, trying to do a bad job. And then you have the uncles who are all screwing him over, and there are 4 uncles, and then there's the vile Duke of Milan, whoever he is, and it's like, then she's queen, and I mean, it's just taking me all over the place here. So for that, it's definitely a not getting your dick burned off out of 10. For vibes. Hopefully you enjoyed that article. Maybe you go watch a video about the great pizza funeral with my favorite American businessman ever. Or you can go watch, you know, a little video about berserkers and get why I got so heated here. And bye.